guys! Today I want to talk about my Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma. This is a cutting I got from a friend sometime last year, and as you can see, I've already rooted it in soil and it's grown quite a bit. All these on this side, they're all new leaves, and this is the old leaf that came with the cutting. You can see how huge this leaf is. So this was a big plant to start with. And then it grew these leaves, and then suddenly at some point in time this cutting decided to revert back to juvenile state. As you can see, there is just one fenestration on this leaf and then one on this leaf, but its latest leaf has two. So hopefully, from reverting back to kind of a juvenile state, this plant is again maturing with two fenestration, and hopefully one day it will become these beautiful little tetrasperma leaves. Anyway, today we're not talking about the leaves or the reversion, we're talking about this little lump here on part of the vine. So this little lump here is basically wet sphagnum moss wrapped around a node with cling film. Okay, I actually did a video, a before video of how I did this and why I did this, but I've lost that video. So to summarize, what I'm doing here is called air layering. Now, I watched my grandmother do this when I was little. She did this on her fruit trees, but that was a little bit more complicated because the fruit trees had bark, so she had to remove the bark and then wrap a lump of soil on the inner lining of the tree and encourage the root to grow. So basically, air layering is to encourage new roots to grow. These are climbing plants. You can actually see aerial roots already growing from the nodes. What I'm doing here is just to encourage the root to grow faster with this humidity pocket of sphagnum moss. So air layering is actually a way to propagate. The reason why I'm thinking of repropagating this plant is because I find this stem here sitting on the soil a little bit too high. So what I essentially want to do is, once this part has a substantial amount of roots, I want to cut this part off and then plonk this part back into the pot so that I don't have to cut it off without any roots and hope that it will root in the soil in time, which it would, but the risk is the root might not take, the cutting might rot. So this has been here for about 3 weeks, and from time to time I've dripped water from the top to keep the sphagnum moss wet. And today I am going to try and unwrap this and see what's happening, what's going on inside here. So in the best case scenario, if there are enough roots, I'm going to cut it off and I'm going to put it into the soil. But I am not going to remove this from the soil. I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully one of these days I will see a new plant popping out from the soil, and then I will have two new plants. I will have two new plants in this pot. So that is the best case scenario. Okay, but for now, I am just excited to see how much roots have been growing in here. Aw, that looks nice. I think I already see two roots. It's a bit dry because the sphagnum moss is a bit dry. So two long roots so far. Oh, more than two. There's one here, but it broke. So look at this root here. Kind of broke. I don't feel confident enough that this is enough root. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to back this up again. Maybe for another week or two, because the roots look actually quite dry. And I'm going to reuse these. Alright, I have wet the sphagnum moss, and I've also added a teeny weeny bit of liquid fertilizer in this so that we might give the roots a little bit of food. I'm going to wrap it up again, just like that. Make sure all the roots are inside the moss. Tidy up with some twine. All right, this should be good enough. Okie dokie guys, it's been over a week, I think. I am going to remove the cling film from my Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma and see if any more roots have formed. So in between, I did squirt some water to keep the sphagnum moss wet and moist. Whoa! I can already see an amount of roots, a good amount of roots actually. Look at that. Oh my goodness, the sphagnum moss is not coming out at all. So there's one there as well. I think we do have very good roots from this node. And then I have one here. I think this whole bunch has rooted into, yes, look at all the tiny roots. You can see there's a lot in there. So this looks pretty good actually. I'm not going to remove any more of the sphagnum moss. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to cut it off around here maybe, this part. And then I am going to root this cutting back into this pot. Okay, I have with me here a pair of shears, a tiny spade, and this, oops, this is cinnamon powder. Cinnamon powder is supposed to be antifungal and antibacterial. So each time I do a snip on my plants, normally I would apply some of this on the wound so that no germs can get into the plant. Now these shears have been sterilized in fire on my stove, just in case, just to prevent any fungal or bacterial infection. So you can see there's quite an amount of roots on this Tetrasperma. Okay. Cinnamon powder. Now that will protect the wound on the cutting. And I'm going to do the same for here as well. Okay. So what's going to happen to this, I'm just going to let it stay in a pot, and I'm sure in no time I would see another node growing from somewhere. So I'm just going to plonk the whole thing in with the sphagnum moss and all, because I don't want to remove too much of this lest I damage the roots, because the root system really looks quite nice from the air layering. And it hasn't harmed the plant at all, it's still growing. This is actually a new shoot. While I was air layering, this shoot was growing. Ooh, some roots here. Actually, there's quite a nice root system to this original cutting. So you can see, basically I've put quite a lot of soil in this, because I've tried the tetrasperma with my wet mix, it doesn't work. So I changed it to more soil, but I still made it very gritty, very draining. Okay. All right, I think it looks good. See, I really like the plants sitting in the soil like that. Hi guys! Now, because I took such a long time to make this video, I thought I might as well show you what's happening to the Rhaphidophora now. So the last time you saw this was on the 12th of May, and today is the 26th of June. So we are past 1 month. So 1 month and 2 weeks maybe. And it has done pretty well. So I've had a new leaf, and it has 1 extra fenestration, and I have 1 new leaf coming out. Also, I want to show you the plant, the cuttings that I did not remove, the old cutting. Look, it has given me a new shoot. So I was a little bit surprised when I saw the shoot coming from here, because initially I thought it would come from somewhere here. But it did not, so it came out from the inside. Cool, isn't it? I wonder what will become of this. So anyway, the plant is growing really well. I'm quite happy with it. And I shall end here then. Thanks for watching.